Before starting with today's daily news analysis, there are two things that I wanted to say. One is on our YouTube channel, we are starting with the answer writing initiative. Now, this will not be like a typical answer writing initiative where we have like 2 odd questions covered in half an hour. That's not my vision. My vision is that all of you who are preparing for this 2023 examination, you need lot of content, lot of things right now. There's a lot of pressure. So accordingly, I'm going to post lot of questions over here. We'll be discussing this, but I am not too keen on the content part because content is readily available and you have cleared or you expect yourself to do which is pretty good actually, pretty decent. So you'll be able to manage that. What I'm interested in is, and what I see when I'm evaluating the answers also, that I find the shortcoming over here, the analysis of the question, the perspectives of writing the answer. So that part, obviously I'll provide some important content, facts, etc. But you get it, right? The idea is more on the perspective over here. And doing more and more of questions, more and more of practice so that you can work yourself on those topics. So that is one thing that I want to do on a YouTube channel. So we'll start with the previous years. So specifically from the point of view of society, GS1, I think that is one area where you would naturally have a shortcoming over here. Then architecture part, art and culture part. So like that we'll proceed. GS2, GS3, I expect it to be strong for you guys. So I'll start with this one, GS1, GS4. So that way we'll be doing it. And gradually we'll keep moving towards the current component. So more and more of important current affairs type that we'll do. Now I'm not saying that you stop doing your test series or whatever, that you continue. It's just an add-on and this will help you. So this will come very, very soon. So like 5-10 questions a day we'll be posting. Okay, so this is it. Then the other thing that I wanted to say is that for essays, for the students who are appearing in 2023, so we are starting with personalized guidance program for essay writing. Now this will be a paid initiative by Kulwant Kaur ma'am. So she'll be evaluating the essays, she'll give you assignments and she'll be evaluating the essays, and that will be one-on-one interaction. So that normally you get those ticked marks, you give your answers in a test series also, you just get feedback. But here you'll get a detailed point of view and measures of improving your answers. So that is there. And on the similar lines, for GS answer writing, there is a paid initiative which I'll be undertaking, both at a very, very nominal cost. So it will be starting very soon. In fact, about the paid initiatives, you can actually get in touch with us. So you have my WhatsApp number, it's in the description box. So you can reach out over there. And anyways, I think it's 883-778-7319. Now today's newspaper. So as always, we do the Hindu newspapers daily edition, and I specify this edition because the headlines may differ according to the editions or whichever state that you are there. So that is the only reason. Okay. In fact, if you are from, let's say, Maharashtra, Hyderabad, that place, you read the local newspaper only. Now today I am taking up the front page holistically over here. Okay, so first one, Adani power project sparks row in Sri Lanka. Why? So there is this top official of the Ceylon Electricity Board. In the what happened really was that like India we have a parliament, so there is a parliament, and within the parliament there is a committee. So there are a number of committees in India also that is there. So there is this committee that was there and that was asking questions to the electricity board. Why do we have power shortage in our country and all those things? So the official over here, top official of the Ceylon Electricity Board. In India also, like we have Punjab State Electricity Board, Haryana State Electricity Board, so they also have it. So that official said that Adani Group, Adani Power, so they were handed over the power projects by the president of Sri Lanka under the pressure of Prime Minister Modi. So this statement would naturally, that would provoke a response, and nobody will like it, that their country is falling under undue influence. Nobody would appreciate that, never. So that is what has happened over there, and that is why there is a lot of protest that is taking place. And anyways, there are concerns over corruption, mismanagement of economy, all those things also, which has further led to the anger also. Now, how could that be? Modi pressured Gotabaya, right? He has retracted from the statement, the top official, but still, we do know that Sri Lanka was reeling under a financial crisis, and we should actually call it balance of payment crisis. So that was taking place. So during that time, the Indian government, and I say Prime Minister Modi, so Indian government provided some lines of credit. They provided some financial support to them, plus some things of basic necessities that were shipped to Sri Lanka. So that was done. It could very well be that this was done on quid pro quo basis. I'm just anticipating or speculating actually. So this may have happened, that this may have been quid pro quo, that see, we are giving you so much, you should give us something in return. We have certain concerns in northern Sri Lanka, particularly Tamil region. We don't like the Chinese over there. So, or even if it was hinted, right? So something like that could have happened. Next is protests on more people arrested. I think we all know Nupur Sharma thing, that statement, and then obviously protests have taken place in certain parts of the country, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, all those things. Okay. Now, how do we cover this? I say we cover this from the point of view of case study, and the mains exam is very, very soon. Somebody who's preparing the paper right now, examination, would be around this time, or maybe a month from now. So these events would be fresh in the person who is actually framing the questions also. So this is a very, very important event. Okay. So let's say, how do you do this now? Let's say you were the district magistrate of any of these districts. This controversial remark has come, and it is anticipated that there would be an unrest. There is this Hindu community, there is this Muslim community. So there has always been a history of such events taking place. Right. So just making a build up that this thing was about to happen. Now, as the leading official of that place, you obviously, so as the leading official, as the DM or as the SSP, what course of action would you take? So what course of action, right? So you may say, okay, you may be asked like, okay, fine, I'll talk to the community leaders, like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, you enumerate that. Next, other way of asking would be, what are the options available before you? And which is the best amongst all the options? So that is another way of asking. But this question can be anticipated in this way over here, from the point of view of case study, and you can apply your theory knowledge to improve your answer. Right. So the one is done over here. Now moving on to the next article, and I feel this again. Let me elaborate this first. Modern times, watches keep an eye on workers. You know those safai karamcharis of the government. So they are being asked to wear smartwatches, and this is in my place only, Chandigarh. So they are being asked to wear the smartwatches, which can track their location also. I think some of you who are wearing the smartwatch, you would be aware how it can track your exercise, movement, location. So here the GPS is being used to track if the worker is actually working or not. Fine. We have the technology, we are in the modern times. Now there is an allegation that this is an invasion of the privacy. So it is invading into the privacy. So that is one. So now you can think of it from the point of view of ethics, new technology, and the way it is controlling the people. In this case, is it moral or right or wrong? Moral means right, immoral means wrong. At least what Yeah, that's the judgment that we make. Okay, so privacy invasion. And other thing is there are concerns that it may be using wrongful data. There may be a technical glitch, and because of which their wages would be deducted, which it has been claimed that it is taking place. Right. So two issues have been given over here. Now, what do you think from the point of view of ethics? First of all, what do you think? Is it moral or immoral over here? In fact, why don't you just share it with me on my Telegram or WhatsApp, and my number is there before you. So, why should it be done or why it should not be done? So that part you have to think over here. Both ways it will be right. Okay, so this is done, and then other thing is obviously the GS2 part, that is again talking about the issue of privacy, fundamental rights. So from that perspective. Next, abnormal dinosaur egg found in India. So this is kind of a fossil that was found over here. I'll explain this, but let us see how this thing was abnormal. So what we saw was that it showed a situation of an egg. This is a normal egg that we have. Those you don't have, still you would be knowing of this, right? So white egg white and yellow within the shell membrane. What has been discovered is a very rare phenomena that within an egg, so within an egg there is another egg. So this is one egg, and the second egg is nesting in the bigger egg. So we see an egg within egg, which is also known as ovum in ovo egg. Don't have to go really deep into this. So this is the fossil that we got at. Now you can make out this is like 10 centimeter scale, so this is not very big. So you can see the outer membrane and the smaller membrane over here. This is the more clearer picture over here. Now why is this important? Now this thing is not often, it is very rarely, but it is seen with the birds over here. Never with the reptiles, and this is for a reptile over here. So it was seen for a reptile. So it could possibly imply that we see some traces of evolution or some sort of evidence that the dinosaurs or maybe the reptiles have actually evolved from the birds, because they, at least this thing is there which is common with the bird over here, which is never ever seen in the reptiles. So be it with the crocodiles, be it with the turtles, so never ever we see this egg in egg. It is, if it is seen, it is with the birds. So this is a very rare thing. So don't think like if you have egg and you say I have never seen this, this is never there, we always see this. So this is just a rare thing. It happens very rarely, but it happens. Okay, now which dinosaur's egg is there? What was their time period? And again, this egg and egg basic things could be asked in your pre also, like in statement form. So we need to have some basic idea, that's all. No need to really memorize. In fact, this is something should be interesting. We should be able to recall it also in the exam if you have read once. Okay, so this is the phenomena in a Tyrannosauroid dinosaur egg. So sorry, let me just write this. I'm this very small font. Titanosaurid. Fine. So this dinosaur. So this is a very huge dinosaur. In fact, it's believed to be one of the biggest dinosaur that has prevailed in this region, and this region means the present day India. So among the largest, sorry, not the largest, among the largest animals, and it is from the sauropod family. And this was prevalent in these states of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Meghalaya, and the time period was Upper Cretaceous Lametta formation of, so during this time period basically. So this is a reference of time period. So let me show you. See, Upper Cretaceous period. 145 to 66 million years, right? So this is the time period. I think you would have seen it in your NCERT also. Okay. Study reveals child artists work for more than 12 hours a day. Child Labour Act clearly mentions that no child shall be allowed to work for more than 5 hours in a day. Honestly, child artists not really concerned. We are concerned with the issue of child labor. Child labor, or if there is an amendment to the child labor law, is it right or wrong? To what extent the government has been able to address the issue of child labor? Now, what this, the relevance over here could be like child artists, so movie industry, entertainment industry, very big industry, big size. But here again, we see that norms are being flouted. So, what about the informal sector? It's not mentioned in the article, but just what about the informal sector? What would be the situation there? Maybe much more than 12 hours a day. It says more than 12 hours a day. So what is the implementation of the Child Labour Act? What are the flaws with it? So that is a theme that can be taken up, and again this could be child labour is a social issue, but it is also about social justice being done by the government act. So this could be in GS2 as well as GS1. Depends how it frames. If it says about Child Labour Act, it should be GS2. Okay. So this we have over here, and there is a law that is given over here, Child and Adolescent Labour Prohibition and Regulation Act. So earlier this was known as the Child Labour Act 1986. Adolescent added later actually. Okay, so it provides for 5 hours this thing, and one more thing, it says that if a child is working in this thing, so income earned by the child from the production of an event is to be directly deposited in a fixed deposit. So if it is in the media industry, so it should be in the fixed deposit, and it should be provided to the child when that child becomes a major, that is majority, or attains the age of 18. But what is really happening is that the money is being utilized completely on the families, and child artist is the sole breadwinner. And further, naturally, the education side is getting affected. Right, so formal education is being affected because of that. Now we have another reference of another organization. Actually, this was there during the time of Sushant Singh Rajput thing also. So CINTA. So what is this CINTA? I think this is again something that can be asked in your prelims also. So this you should know. So read about CINTA by yourself. I don't have it here. Okay. Next is with reference to the state of Himachal Pradesh, and this was a government ad that was there, and I want to draw attention to your PCS side of things, state public civil services, or whichever state you belong to. Okay, so this is there, and yeah, so you can see Himachal DPR Himachal over here. So it is releasing the information with that ad of the Chief Minister of Himachal and Prime Minister Modi. And it gives out certain schemes before us, both of the center as well as the states. Now the PCS students who want to appear in the PCS, so whichever edition that you are studying, naturally you will have, like example, you are in West Bengal, so you should have West Bengal based government ads. So keep an eye on that, and that will tell you about the respective schemes over here. Now naturally this is Himachal Pradesh, so it is there in Hindi. Plus the schemes of the center, naturally the ones that have been mentioned, so within that schemes also, these schemes are supposed to be more important. Right, okay, so this is how you should be preparing for you can prepare for your state PCS, and it goes without saying this is coming from, if it was at the level of center, it would have been PIB, here it is DPR. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's see some schemes that have been mentioned over here. So it is about युवाओं के कौशल विकास से, right? So it is about skill development actually. So skill development and say Atmanirbhar Bharat का सपना हो रहा है साकार. So it is about the labor aspect and skill development. So one is Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana. Now this is again a very important scheme. Now you should know which ministry is doing this and you should have a basic idea about it. Now you see, if you don't know this, so Shram means labor. Labor ka मान. How will it come? It will come by means of pension. So most likely labor, so pension. It is about pension. Now research this or just go to the Ministry of Labor schemes, type these keywords PIB, you'll get it. Okay. Takniki Shiksha se Swavalamban. So now what does Swavalamban means? So Swavalamban means, there are a lot of Swavalambans actually. So Swavalamban means self-reliance. Self, right? So self-reliance. HIM Startup, so Himachal Pradesh HIM Startup Yojana. Mukhyamantri Startup Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. What is Mudra? Refinancing. It is basically to provide finance facilities to the startups. So it is refinance in the sense that the companies, the microfinance institutions that provide funding to the startups, them being financed by which bank? SIDBI, which is for the implementation of the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Now there are three categories of loans within the Mudra Yojana, right? So that you search for yourself. I want you to do it yourself over here. Next is Swavalamban Yojana. It is again about the same thing. It is about the pension. So government will contribute rupees 1000 per year to each NPS account, Swavalamban account. Now National Pension Scheme. Now National Pension Scheme, who all are eligible, was actually asked in, I think it was asked in Prelims 2017. Then Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Srijan Karyakram. Right, so all these Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana. So Kaushal, skill, right? So from there also you can make out as to which all topics they're talking about, even if you don't know the scheme. Okay, I actually rejected the entire opinion section except one of this. There was one article on environment protection index, which India ranks last in it. So out of 180 countries, India ranked 180. So that was there. So this is like the front page, the first page of the opinion. So editorial and opinion. The second page, last corner. Okay, let's do this. So first, I'm not doing this. Threat to democracy, it's for the US. So not doing this. Musings on Indic civilization and Indianness. India's civilizational heritage must be treated as a matter of pride, as that one unites every Indian. I think this is something that can be picked up for GS1. I'm not interested in the article over here. Right? Not interested in the article, but yes, this title over here, that is very important. And these days, the history is being used, right? Movies or whatever, culture, contemporary culture, for political purposes, or at least there is an allegation. Now here it says that heritage, civilizational heritage is something that we inherit, so must be treated as a matter of pride, as that one unites every Indian. So why is the study of India's past, India's heritage, India's art and culture important? Why should we know about it? What role can it play in uniting the Indians over here? So these are certain themes that UPSC can pick up on. Right? And this is again, somewhere it is inspired from some events that is taking place, at least this one. I've got to know that this article that is given, these things are written by the editorial board of the Hindu newspaper. Survivor Boris needs more than Johnson's band-aid. So this is about the UK politics, not interested. Okay, so we should have basic idea, but not really interested in that. So where is the newspaper today? See, this is the environment environment index. So environment performance index, I think I said protection. So environment performance index, India has gotten the lowest rank over here. Now, which all things is it covering? We get some facts over here. So it is covering the issue of climate change mitigation. So what is India doing about this? And India is believed to be one of the largest contributors, among the 4 largest contributors of the greenhouse gas emissions. Then biodiversity and habitat. And let's take this as an exercise for prelims also. Like, what are the schemes for preservation of biodiversity in a country? We have national parks, right? We have a biodiversity authority. So what all things is the government doing for that regard, this regard over here? Forest Conservation Act, we just did yesterday. Ecosystem services, fisheries, acid rain, agriculture, water resources, and air quality. Air quality, I think we all know, and then especially those who are living in the northern region. Sanitation and drinking water, heavy metals, waste management. Now, which heavy metals are harmful? Again, what is the government doing about it? Why is it a matter of concern? These are things, this is how we can actually build up from the mains perspective over here. Sanitation and drinking water, again a very, very important thing. The government changed the name of the ministry and changed it to Jal Shakti Ministry. And in that PIB, it was written that the idea should be to make this issue of water as Jal Kranti, right? People's revolution. So that is what the ministry, that is when the ministry had come, Prime Minister had made this remark over here. So what is the government doing over this? What is the progress on that regard? And plus Swachh Bharat. And talking about Swachh Bharat, waste management, then solid waste management, e-waste management. What is the government doing about it? Yes, I think 2-3 days back we talked about the leachate problem also, with reference to the mounting landfills. So what is the government doing about it? How severe is this problem? So these are themes on which UPSC can ask you questions in GS3 paper. Then there was this also, OIC, which I didn't take it up, but I think if you can just read this part over here, I think that is sufficient. I think only thing that I never told you about this thing, I covered in the previous analysis, but just this part wasn't done. The OIC was established at a 1969 summit in Rabat, Morocco. By the way, which writer or which traveler had come to India from Morocco, and what book did he write? Can you tell me in the comment section? If you, if you don't know, mention that. I'll let you know about that also. So who was it? Who was the king at that time? Famous king at that time? So let me know about it. Right. So OIC. That's FATF and Pakistan's position on its grey list. So naturally we need, this is the explainer section, everything goes in a flow. Okay, I think this is one thing that Hindu newspaper has done well in the recent times. So Indian Express had the explainer section, and now they have also started with this, and in fact quite a few of articles are there. Okay, so FATF and Pakistan positions on the grey list, naturally it brings India to light as well. So we need to know what is the FATF and why are we talking about it. So first of all, FATF is an agency, Financial Action Task Force. It's an agency that is, whose prime focus is to deal with the issue of money laundering and terror financing. Money laundering, it was actually money laundering, then the aspect of terror financing also came up, because there is an unholy nexus. You know, how will the terrorists find money to operate the things? It's not a legitimate thing. So money is laundered, illegal money from illegal activities is laundered and pushed into the terrorist activities. In fact, this is again a very, very important deal. This alone from the point of view of GS3 internal security. In fact, I have covered this many times in the class also of the internal security. So this is very, very important. In fact, the topic of terrorism itself is very, very important. And okay, forget that. Right. So FATF and Pakistan's position. So what is the FATF? Money laundering and terror financing. We all know what is the Pakistan's history on that, and we know that Pakistan is not very, very, they may say something but not really take measures on dealing with the issue of terror financing. So with the effort of India particularly, India said, India is a member of FATF, and they said that see, this country is there, both money laundering and terror financing, it is a concern for us, our security. They said, yeah, absolutely, you're right. So let's put more scrutiny on this country. So they asked him, okay, fine, what are the documents are there and all those things. They did the scrutiny and they felt that your country are not doing the rightful conduct, and there needs to be greater scrutiny on what measures you are taking to deal with the issue of money laundering and terror financing. So for this, obviously to have scrutiny, some sort of standards also have to be set. So FATF has set some standards or recommendations which countries must abide by. So Pakistan is seen to be violative of these, and therefore there is a need for greater scrutiny. Fine. So there is a need for greater scrutiny with reference to Pakistan. Now, as you can see over here, grey list has been mentioned. So naturally there is one color known as white and other is black. I think that's visible. And grey is something like in between of, if you put white on black, you get grey color. So something that is in between. So India wants Pakistan to be pushed into the blacklist. Naturally, blacklist means something that don't put finances over here. This country is unsafe country and all those things. And naturally, when it goes into the blacklist, it means that things are not very nice for you. Nobody will provide you funding. People would not like to invest in your country if you're blacklisted. You'll not be able to raise money from the IMF, Asian Development Bank, European Union. And yes, Pakistan at this point of time is reeling under economic stress. Maybe not as bad as Sri Lanka, but very, very close to it. Right. So this is there. It will badly affect its economy. So for the time being, India says put it into the blacklist. Naturally, FATF members believe that let's give them a chance. If we put them into the blacklist, it will be very, very difficult for us. That means they are condemned. So let's put them in something in between, that is the grey list. Let's do greater scrutiny. Let's give them an opportunity to move away from the grey list and come to the white list. And by the way, there is no such in informal language or in the official text of the FATF, nowhere it has been mentioned that there is a blacklist, grey list, etc. Right? So these are like casually the people have started using it. So that is something that can be important for your pre as well. Okay. Now at this moment, currently there is only North Korea and Iran on the blacklist, and Pakistan is in the risk of going into the blacklist over here, but FATF is not doing that. Now there is a summit that is going to take place, and that is why it has come in the news. It is going to come in the news, so it is anticipated, therefore this explainer. So from June 14 to June 17, where in Berlin, the FATF plenary will take place. Plenary. What does plenary means? Plenary is meeting. So meeting of its various members, so that will take place. So here it is known as plenary. So that will take place over here, and obviously they'll talk about a lot of things, and one of them will be Pakistan's listing into the grey list, blacklist, all of that. Okay. Right, so that will be seen over here, and naturally Pakistan's position will be heard, and it is expected that the Pakistan would say that we have taken number of steps. They have given direction for sentencing of terror outfit chief Hafiz Saeed, then prosecution of Masood Azhar, who was responsible for the Pathankot incident. Sorry, not Pathankot, Pulwama, the 14th Feb thing. So he is responsible for that. So UN designated terrorists, so they were being a soft on that in earlier. Their properties and their assets have been seized. But India feels that this may not be sincere efforts, and even though now they are saying maybe in the long run they will not be permanent. So they are concerned about the efficacy, that you are saying that you are doing it, but you may not be doing it in reality. So India suspects the sincerity of Pakistan over here with reference to the efficacy and permanence of Pakistani actions. Okay, just one thing that was left now. So we know that FATF sets standards. Now these standards are peer reviewed. That is, the countries, the members of the plenary would be seeing amongst themselves. And I think peer evaluation groups are there on Telegram for answer rating. So that means no other moderator, no judge or something, no teacher. It's just the peer. It's amongst the members who do it. Now the reviews are carried out by the FATF styled regional bodies. Fine. So for every region, like, okay, fine, there is the entire world over here, and this world has been subdivided into different groupings or regional bodies. So in India's case, it is the Asia Pacific group. Naturally, Asia Pacific. Right, so this is covered. Now moving on to the next one. India talks for more Apache Chinook choppers. So obviously we get more of this defense things that are there in the news. So these can be asked. Okay, so Apache helicopter from US. I think Chinook you would have seen. This is the helicopter you would have seen also roaming around, making a lot of noise. Okay, so this is there. Then beyond this, the Boeing company that manufactures the F-16 plane, they also have the F-18 aircraft. So they want to pitch this to India. So F-18 aircraft. I think the recent movie Top Gun, so in that also it was all about these aircrafts over here, and it is said that it is like a soft push to India. One of the reasons is like it is a soft push to India to consider the F-18 plane, especially for its aircraft carriers. You know what is the aircraft carrier? Right, so for its aircraft carriers. Now you should know which all carriers do we have in India. So that's right. So these big ships over here from which the aeroplanes can fly, and naturally these are very small runways for the fighter planes. So the planes have to have a lot of thrust so that they are able to take off, they are able to land. So that thing should be there. So likewise, the French is pitching the Rafale M. So there is this normal plane Rafale. So there is a small change that is made so that M version. So there are different versions. So M version is, I suppose, marine, or that is how you can memorize. So Rafale M is for the submarine component over here, right? So this they are talking over here, and so the INS Vikrant. Earlier there was this INS Virat. So INS Virat has been decommissioned. And now INS Vikrant, indigenously manufactured aircraft carrier, is going to be commissioned very soon, and for that we need all these things. Now in this, a new development has taken place. Earlier the Navy had said that they needed 57 aircraft, but now with the development of the Tejas and right, so with that they say that we only need 26 this thing. We will have the Indian made fighter planes. Okay, again, same approach over here for the international page, just as we did for the front page. US trying to hijack support in Asia, China. And this we have to see in the context of, read this, Defense Minister, this is the Defense Minister, accuses Washington of advancing its own interest under the guise of multilateralism. Okay, so Defense Minister, why is the Defense Minister saying? So actually this meeting was taking place in Singapore. There is a hotel known as Shangri-La, right? So Shangri-La hotel is there. So every year, I'm not sure every year, so they have this dialogue, Shangri-La dialogue. So this is for the region over there, and they discuss about the defense sector. India doesn't provide its paper on this. So defense sector, as to what all things they are going to do, what is the policy, what is the investment that they have made to the defense sector. So naturally the Chinese side were also talking about it, so they were being represented by their defense minister, who happens to be a general in their army. So Defense Minister General Wei Fenghe. The pronunciation, I don't know. Okay, so defense, right? So they're talking about defense. Shangri-La dialogue is associated with which of the following? And by the way, just digressing a bit, but this is important. On similar lines, India has its own Raisina dialogue. But this is not limited to the matters of defense. It is lots more than that. In fact, you should visit the Raisina website and Raisina dialogue, and there you will find a lot of themes on which the members are talking. And I feel that this could be taken up for our essay as well as the GS component. I feel these are very, very important topics that can be taken up, right? And I believe people who are writing, they'll be associated with some research or the other. So we should keep an eye on this. In fact, this I said earlier also when the Raisina dialogue actually took place some 2-3 months back. Okay. So now okay, fine. So next we move to US trying to hijack support in Asia under the guise of multilateralism. So what multilateralism, this article does not say, but we do know of Indo-Pacific economic, multilateral initiatives that the USA is coming up with. So most recently it was the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Then there is this Trans-Pacific Partnership. Right, so these initiatives are coming up, so maybe it is with that reference, and it does not include China. So the Chinese would be saying that, you are wooing away our neighbors. Just a second. Yeah, so in China, if you see, there is this Asian region, there is the South China Sea, all the dispute is taking place, these countries have some tension or the other, and US is pitching in over there. Further, they are talking about the issue of rule-based order, then they are talking about freedom of navigation. So the Chinese defense minister says that they are using all this. It's basically it's a way of containing China. So that is their vision over here. They're not really concerned about the welfare of any of these countries over here. And it is best if the world, if this region particularly is mindful of that. Then other thing it says is, it talks about is the exclusive small group. The strategy is an attempt to build an exclusive small group in the name of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Now small and exclusive small group, I think that is basically their reference to the Quad grouping. They don't say it directly, but they keep mentioning this as an exclusive group. Right, so that is Quad. It should be Quad: India, Australia, Japan, USA. The small grouping. But within that region of the Indo-Pacific, looking at the issue of freedom of navigation, rules-based system. And China is being known to be violative of the rules-based order, especially with the South China Sea region, which they claim it as their own completely. They say that this entire sea belongs to them, as they had an old map, just as they do with the northern part of India. So same way they say that they have this old map, which says that there is some 9-dash line which belongs to them entirely. So Philippines and other countries had objected to that. There was a case that went. International case that was taken up by the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which China was also there, but Chinese lost. So according to this arbitration, the Chinese were supposed to get, leave their claim over this sea over here, which they didn't do it, even though they were supposed to do it. So this again reflects a problem over here. So we see rules-based order, some rule has been there, some set of rules, for example, the clause, again asked in prelims. Okay, so that rule is there, but that rule is not being abided by by China over here. Now, at the Permanent Court of Arbitration, we get it, right? So this is there. So this is interpreting the law over here, and they passed the judgment, which is again not abided by the Chinese over here. This should be done, otherwise there will be chaos. There will be tensions. Okay, Russia strikes Ukraine depot, a battle for this region in the eastern Ukraine region. This is in eastern Ukraine, so all the development is there, and we have visits of various international dignitaries, including the EU chief to Kiev, right? So this is, we don't really need to read it. Okay, WTO chief sees bumpy road ahead as ministers chalk out deal. So WTO had been silent for the last couple of years because of the pandemic related issues, but now again the negotiations are starting, and therefore each country has their own interest, and therefore there will be tensions. And I think I didn't tell you what WTO. So what WTO basically stands for World Trade Organization. So it is about creating. It's an agency that in which there are different world countries, all world countries, and the WTO is responsible for creating some set of rules, some set of agreement amongst the world countries, so that there is free flow of trade within them. Some set of rules are there for trade. So rules-based trade regime should be there. So naturally each country has its own interests. So they would try to manipulate the rules over here. So therefore there is this negotiation. Now what all things they are talking about? So they will be talking about pandemic preparedness. So this will be there in the news. Food insecurity, especially because of the Russia war that is taking place. Right. So these are the basic issues that they are talking about, and then the issue of the fair and free trade. So these are certain themes that they'll be taking up in the upcoming WTO summit, and questions on WTO are asked in the GS2 paper, International Relations. Right, we'll do the WTO thing more deeply when that comes. So for now, we're just concluding with the session. So thank you for streaming in to IASPrimers with me, Shubhashish. Bye bye, take care, and all the best.